Bonjour and welcome to the Manitex Showcase. This is our third event from our Crane Manufacturers Showcase webinar series. You can find 2 recorded sessions on our YouTube channel, and we will have 2 more coming next month. My name is Claire Bélanger-Parker, and I'm the Executive Director of the Crane Rental Association of Canada. As we journey toward reconciliation, we acknowledge that our office is situated on Treaty 4 and the traditional territory of the Cree, Saulteaux, Ojibwe, Lakota, Nakota, Dakota, and homeland of the Métis. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked the land across Turtle Island, also called North America, for centuries. Wherever you are joining us from, take a moment to reflect on our shared history, as we all are treaty people. We're really in for a treat today. The sales and marketing leadership team joining me have a collective 80 plus years of experience at Manatex. I invite our participants to add questions into the Q&A, which I will monitor throughout the presentation. Questions will be answered at the very end. Our first speaker is a newcomer to the CRAC family, but he's certainly not a newcomer to Manitex. Jeff Long. Jeff, I'd like to invite you to turn on your camera as I stop sharing my screen. Hello, Jeff.
Good day, Claire. How are you?
Good. We just met last week, Jeff, so welcome. And I hear you're a golfer, right?
I am a golfer. I won't talk about my handicap, okay. But I've learned that the higher the handicap, that can definitely help you when it comes to scoring. So,
well, we certainly look forward to meeting you in person at the next CRAC conference next spring, and sign you up on the golf there and get to meet some of our folks here in Canada.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
So without further ado, Jeff, I turn this presentation over to you. I'd like you to introduce yourself to our folks, and look forward to getting to know you better.
Thank you. So again, thank you, Claire. And, you know, it's a privilege for this team to present today to the Crane Rental Association of Canada. We appreciate our ongoing relationship, and we definitely appreciate the time and the attention that everyone's taken from their day to give us today to go through Manatex and give you a little bit of what we're about. Of the 3 presenters that are going to be on the call today, there's approximately 90 years of experience with Manatex. So a lot of experience with us. A little bit about me. You know, I have a wife and a 15-year-old son and a 23-year-old daughter. I think she's close to being out of college, but I can't say that with 100% certainty. But you know, most of my day is trying to manage the home life, and then what I've got left to give, I give it to Manatex day in and day out. We kind of joke around here that if you cut the skin, we've got blue blood. So just a little bit of my history. I started with the company in October of 1993. I just came up on my 28-year anniversary. You know, day one, they walked me through the front doors of the factory. And on the left was the assembly department and where they were putting cranes together and a lot of testing and operation of the cranes. And then on the right was the fab side. We actually did a lot more fabrication during that time frame here at the factory in Georgetown. So, you know, again, cool stuff on the left with the cranes being operated, and then fab work on the right. And at the end of the day, I ended up with a hand grinder in my hand, deslagging steel that was coming off of a plasma cutter. So, you know, at the end of the day, I was pretty intrigued by the cranes, and, you know, there's numerous work cells that I've worked in the factory, fab work, the paint line, assembly. I finally worked my way into calibration, where I got to actually go out and test the equipment and put my hands on the equipment and really really kind of jump started my career with the company. The only thing they wouldn't let me do is weld. So I can't weld to save my life. But so, fast forward to 2001, I had a lot of time troubleshooting the cranes when they came off of the assembly line. And I was in a position where I felt like my career would be better served if I got in front of customers. So and oddly enough, September 11th of 2001, I made a transition into the product support department, where I worked with customers selling parts and aftermarket service. Traveled all over the world for the company. Some places a little bit better than others. We kind of joke around here, they never put a broke down crane right next to a 5-star resort. So I've really got a taste of a lot of different cultures around the world, and it was really, really good to me. They offered me a position in June of 2005 as the product support manager. I played through that role, continued traveling around the world to work on equipment, and had a really good time doing it. Met a lot of good people, and went to the last place I went to it was a good job. We put a 50-ton unit into service. Got back after that trip because I was gone for probably 3 weeks, and the work environment was not quite desirable, but hey, we do what we got to do, right? And had a conversation with the management group at that time, and they offered me a position to go back into the operations. I'd started there, and I knew the processes pretty well. So I took an operations manager job in April of 2012. I did that for 2 years, and found myself sitting in the general manager chair in July of 2014, where I am today. So been a really good company. They've really taken care of me, and I try my best to take care of Manatex. So one of the things I'd like to kind of start off on, as we always do at Manatex, start off with a quick safety update, COVID being the topic. So through 2020, when the pandemic began, we had minimal problems with COVID related issues. Of course, we, like many companies, instantly implemented safety protocols and adhered to the CDC recommendations that included masks and contact tracing. We installed hand sanitizers throughout the factory, throughout the offices. We also went to another level where we actually, kept all the meetings outside if we could, virtual if we could. No more conference room meetings, things of that nature. Our production meetings were actually out in the factory with a big whiteboard, so we could, kind of go through the day's production processes. But at the end of the day, we really didn't have a whole lot of COVID related issues when the pandemic kicked off in 2020. Fast forward to 2021 February. So we had a pretty substantial hit in February. We had about 20% of our workforce that was out. We're running at a pretty low level at this point. For the last 6 months, I think we've probably had 1 to maybe 2% of the workforce that's been out, on an ongoing basis. So interestingly enough, when February rolled around last year, I'd been out of the office because my son got it in late January. I got to come back to work after 14 days out of the office with him. I was back to work for 1 week, then I caught it, and then I was out for 14 more days. And the day that I was actually able to come back to work is whenever we had the severe snowstorm in Texas, if you can imagine that. It was kind of an interesting time at the factory here. So aside of COVID, I mean, our major challenges today include, like everyone else, delayed chassis deliveries, rising steel prices, vendor supplied component delays. For the first half of the year, industry order rates for boom trucks were actually up 28% versus the first half of 2020. So, the business is definitely scaling up. From a workforce standpoint, we really we really didn't experience any issues like some of the other manufacturing groups. But you know, at the end of the day, the chassis and the supply chain is really, you know, continues to impede good production flow and pose our biggest challenges going into 2022. So just a little bit about Manatex. Some of you may not have the history of Manatex. So Manatex history actually started in McAllen, Texas, on the Texas-Mexico border in 1985. At that time, we were actually owned by Manitowoc, and I don't know if you know, you may not be aware of that, but at that facility, we manufactured offshore lattice cranes that were being used in the oil and gas industry. Fabrications were performed in Mexico, and then they brought the components across the border and did the assembly work in McAllen, Texas. Also in 1985, in November of 1985, Manitowoc brought on an engineer to start working on the design of their first boom truck model. And as you can see here on this screen, the 1161 was introduced in 1987 and featured a number of industry firsts. You know, you can go through their first to feature fully proportional boom extension by means of a crowd rope system. So up to that point, I mean, a number of the companies that were manufacturing boom trucks actually used a chain system. We went to a crowd rope cable system, and you know, the rest is history. Now everyone uses crowd ropes. First to feature a clamp-on design that eliminated frame drilling and welding. You know, everybody was doing shear plating at that time. And this from a process standpoint made the work a lot faster, a lot less fabrication work had to go into the trucks whenever they were rolling them into the assembly line. And then first to offer the anti-tube lock system as standard equipment in all machines. You know, safety is key, right? So that's the, you know, we kind of hang our hat on the first company that took safety to the level of more tube lock. And then, you know, later on, we actually implemented load moment indicators on a majority of our equipment as well. It's interesting if you look at the, you know, the 1161 that rolled out in 1987. You know, the size of the cranes have gotten much bigger. You know, 1161 boom truck. You know, there may be a couple of manufacturers that still produce those crane sizes, but you know, at this point, the 19-ton is pretty much the smallest boom truck that we have for the market. And Randy will go through some of the latest offerings that we have a little bit more in his presentation. So just, you know, talked a little bit about Manitowoc and you know, and there was a transition that went from 1993 whenever we moved to Georgetown, Texas, right? So we were building equipment in McAllen, Texas. 93, they decided they wanted to move the factory to a little bit more of a centralized location. So Manitowoc relocated the factory to Georgetown, Texas, which is about 30 miles north of Austin. And the joke around here with that, because there's lots of jokes, you've been working for the same company for 28 years, is they were trying to decide where they were going to move the factory, and the general manager at Manitex at the time had a girlfriend in Austin, so we ended up in Georgetown, Texas. So between 93 and 2000, there was a number of acquisitions that took place to kind of strengthen our footprint in the boom truck industry. Manitowoc went and purchased a company called Pioneer Boom Trucks, USTC, which was a boom truck line that originated from a JLG product. And then we also purchased an aerial work platform company called Phoenix, which specialized in sign maintenance. Fast forward to 2002 here, as many of you are aware, Manitowoc acquires Grove. And, you know, Manitowoc purchased Grove, and Grove, you know, owned National, which is one of our major competitors in the boom truck business. So Manitowoc was forced to get rid of one of the boom truck manufacturers. 2003, they divest Manatex, and we were purchased by a quantum value group. All right, so moving along here, Quantum Value Group merged with Veritech in July of 2006, and we kept rolling along to May of 2008. you know, the name changed to Manitex International, and we were listed on the NASDAQ under MNTX. July of 2009, Manitex International acquired a company called Badger Equipment Company. Badger Equipment Company actually serviced and produced a lot of railroad cranes that were used for service and maintenance in the railroad business. They had a couple of industrial products for a carry deck and a cab down. We call it an M150 machine, and those are still produced at the Badger facility in Winona today. Moving on to January of 2015, you can see there, Manitex International closes on the PM Group. That was, you know, for Manitex International, you know, they really wanted to kind of move forward with, you know, anything crane related, right? So it made really good sense for Manitex International to find and purchase a good player in the articulating crane business. So February of 2018, you can see there that Tadano actually made an investment of $32.7 million in Manitex International, which basically put them at about 14% of Manitex stock share. And then the latest pretty substantial announcement to the Manitex International group is the naming of Steve Phillipov as the Chief Executive Officer of Manitex International. And a lot of you may know Steve, he was former president of Terex Cranes. So Manitex International, leading provider of straight mass and knuckle boom cranes and other specialized equipment for niche industrial applications. Manitex has assembly facilities located in North America, which we're talking about, the facility here in Georgetown, Texas, and the facility in Winona, Minnesota. And the articulating crane and some of their aerial work platforms and electric cranes are actually manufactured in Europe. And just a little bit of Manitowoc's portfolio here of cranes. Again, you can see the top line. We've got the Manitex TC600, the TM200, and another crane over there to the right. Again, those products are actually manufactured in Georgetown, Texas. The articulating cranes below, the PM product, that's actually manufactured right outside of Modena. And those, we actually bring these into the facility here in Georgetown and actually do installs for some of our customers. More of the Manitex International products. So you can see the aerial work platforms. This company is called Oil and Steel. They too are also manufactured outside of Modena, Italy. We've got the Vala products on the bottom left. Those are a line of electric carry deck cranes. They've got, small pallet driven cranes all the way up to larger carry deck units, but they're all electric. And then to the right at the bottom, that's the M150. And again, that's an industrial crane that's manufactured in Winona, Minnesota. And you can see kind of the global footprint of Manitex International here and the various countries that they service. Georgetown facility here in Georgetown, where we manufacture the boom trucks. So you're looking at about 188,000 square feet, primarily assembly and installation facility. We do still fabricate our boom sections in-house for better quality control. And we also run the sales, engineering, and product support teams also out of the Georgetown facility for the boom trucks and the industrial equipment. With that being said, I'd like to introduce our Senior VP of Engineering and Strategic Planning, Scott Ralston. Scott has 29 years with Manitex and has held commendable positions throughout the company. He can probably beat me at golf, but he still hasn't told me what his handicap is. So anyway, Scott, appreciate your time and effort with the company here. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jeff. My handicap is a lack of freaking talent. But anyway, good afternoon to Claire, the board of directors, and the members of CRAC. I am Scott Ralston, as Jeff said. It's been several years since I've had the opportunity to present to you. However, I have fond memories of my trips to Jasper and Victoria. They're perhaps the two most scenic places I have ever visited. Thank you for taking a part of your day to spend time with us and allow Manatex and me to share new and what we think is exciting engineering enhancements to our product line. The first item we want to discuss is our UOS, or unequal outrigger system. This allows each of the 4 outriggers to be set in one of 4 positions, independent of the position of the other outriggers. The system then senses, based upon settings, what the current load is and when it's going to be entering a restricted area. The system then gradually reduces the swing speed and ultimately comes to a complete stop prior to entering a restricted area. Given all the outrigger, counterweight, rigging configurations, the system accounts for over 16,000 variations of any given load. And this is currently available on the TC 400, TC 450, and TC 650 platforms. The next exciting opportunity, the 50-ton platform has carried the weight for the last 13 years. We've modified it through customer input to now include removable counterweight system. This has 9 different counterweight settings, anywhere from 0 up to 10,000 pounds. And it's available on the TC 500 series. We also developed an offset jib, again, based on customer input, for our TC 400 and TC 450 platforms. The jib will be able to be set in 0, 15, and 30-degree settings, and it'll be available first quarter of next year. And once again, based on customer request, we've updated and tested new range diagrams to allow mid-span basket usage on our TC 500 and our 5000 Legacy Series machines. Another exciting product, we introduced a TC 450U to provide multi-use product for the utility, transmission, and distribution line applications. All in this Swiss Army knife of a package. It includes a 1,200-pound capacity rotating basket that's dual rated for both 30.23 and 892.2. It's equipped with a hydraulic intensifier for crimping tools. We've added an LMI external light, which notifies ground personnel of crane condition. The product also includes a Tire Boss central tire inflation system. It includes rear view, side view, and main hoist cameras. And also included is a hot diesel power unit for backup hydraulic system and a power pole guide. As Jeff mentioned, our first boom truck was the 1161. And with that, we've developed over 10 different models of capacity and now are up to 35 tons. We recently redesigned the entire electric system for this whole series of cranes. Now includes remote winch control, includes a modem for diagnostics, Bluetooth communication within the crane. We've inverted selector switches based on requests from our customers. We now have a full outrigger interlock, which dumps the boom. The LMI override has been changed to a key switch so that the owners can control who has access to overriding the machine. And the whole series now has cam throttle. Also with our TC series, we introduced the Accuswing 2, which is a variation of a system we installed way back in the 2005 era. This adds needle valve controls so that each operator can individually set the swing for his individual preference or hers. We've introduced a higher torque subframe for the TC 400 and 450 machines for long reach, high swing applications. The new subframe has 7 times the torque capability that the previous subframe did. Also, we developed a A92.2 dual rating for our 4004 legacy machines. These are the first machines that we've included dual rating on, other than the TCs. We've revised our 65-ton, 131-foot boom jib to allow it to mount to the ears of the booms, similar to all of the other Manitex cranes. And then we've also created a field kit to upgrade our 2085 tractor mount truss machine to a 24-ton machine. And with that, I'll pass it along to Randy Robertson, who is Mr. Manitex and has been with the company for 34 years.
Thank you, Scott. Bear with me here just a second. Let me get my camera working. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, just sitting here listening to the history of the company takes me back with 34 years of experience. I too have covered a lot of ground with the company over the years. Started out in manufacturing in the McAllen operation, pretty much at the beginning, starting with the 1161. I think it was like serial number 2 or 3. And from there, it's evolved to where we are today. Over that time, I must say, my history with the Canadians is a lot. I've traveled coast to coast, north to south, from Wabush to Newfoundland, over to Kelowna, out to Vancouver, and up into the Great White North of Alberta, visiting customers and learning about how equipment is used in Canada, and bringing home from my trips information and feedback from our customers about the extreme conditions in which the boom trucks need to operate up there. And so over the years, we've always taken that into consideration in our new designs with the cold weather seal packages that are now available amongst a lot of other things. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that have been going on here at Manatex and our continued product development through the pandemic. And the most exciting thing that we've got right now to talk about is our new TC65-159. This machine has a lot of new features. On the next slide, we'll be able to talk about the new features. And the 65-ton machine kind of comes off the heels of developing a 60-ton machine and introducing it in 2019 as a TC6131. Then we turned around and came back to the engineers and said, the feedback from Utility Expo in Louisville was that this would be a great machine to use in a utility. So we need a longer boom for it. And so engineering set about designing a 159-foot 5-section boom with a single piece lattice jib and a maximum operating height of 209 feet. This machine features the 10,000-pound removable counterweight system. It also has a trapezoidal subframe that allows us much greater torsional resistance for stability, and a very large rotation bearing is now available with this trapezoidal subframe on new machines going forward. It features 3 outrigger spans, 24/6, 20-foot, and 17/6. We'll look in more in depth on that coming in a couple of slides here. We find that in the utility industry and just in general, that boom trucks are compatible to rough conditions and working in uneven ground. So we increased the outrigger rise from a typical 9-inch to 18 inches of ground penetration, so that it requires less cribbing and dunnage to level the machine up on uneven ground. This machine, full dressed with 10,000-pound 10,000 pounds of counterweight and jib, block, ball, fuel, and driver is somewhere in the range of 95 to 96,000 pounds, depending on the truck that it's installed on. And of course, with all of the new machines, they all can have the new TC features. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the TC difference on a couple slides. Just real quick here, a couple of new features that we're bringing to market now is a swing away rooster sheave that can stay deployed even with the jib. We don't have to remove it or lower it. Just it can swing the jib right over it. Of course, it swings out of the way for multi-part reeving for your load block configurations. And as with all of our machines now, all feature jib jack to facilitate quick one-man jib deployment. It can't say enough about the reception that we've gotten on some of these new features. And on the next slide, we've got, I think let's go back one. Okay, that's fine. So on this side here, we feature the 38-foot one-piece new tubular jib construction, lighter weight, offers better capacity than square tube design. Again, the jib jack is there. I talk about it because it works and it's very handy. And then, of course, we have a fleeting sheave on top of the jib now to help contain the rope in high wind conditions. Let's look at another here. Here we go. Here's our 3-position outrigger setup. As you can see here, a little more detail, retracted, mid-span, 3/4 span, and full. So the 3/4 span outrigger configuration is very important to a lot of your traditional truck crane owners because they're, some of these older truck cranes that these new bigger, larger boom trucks are going after that market. And we want to replicate the capacities and the outrigger configuration that they're accustomed to at 20 feet. And that is being very well received. What you got next? Let's talk about another one here. So here we have our range diagram with the maximum 209-foot tip height with the one-piece 38-foot jib. Gets us all the way up to 204 feet. Going into the differences, the difference that the TC series has and new features. We talk first, I think, about the hydraulic system here. So now we're featuring a variable displacement hydraulic system for your hoist, winch, and boom and telescope. And we do stick with a fixed displacement gear pump on the swing to ensure that there's not going to be any interference with the other hydraulics while we're swinging loads. That variable displacement pump, I want to add real quick here, that variable displacement pump does afford better cooling on the hydraulic system and also increased fuel economy. In moving over to the new advanced hydraulic systems, there's some advantages that we have now in reducing the number of leak points by using split flange connections. That eliminates a whole fitting in itself and 2 leak points, much cleaner hose routings, reduced electrical cabling with CAN wiring and PLC control. And the load sense hydraulics allows, and electric over hydraulic controls now allows the operator to make a number of programming adjustments to the speed of the crane from the main menu on the LMI display. So all of our larger machines now, TCs in particular, all feature radio outrigger controls. With the radio outrigger controls and the electric over hydraulic controls, it enables the operator to be able to set up the machine with the remote keypad and lower the winch line to unhook his ball and his block and get the machine up in the air quicker setup times. So telematics and GPS tracking is available. Plug and play remote control systems are now much easier to install. When we have radio remote systems for man basket operation, the electric over hydraulic controls makes it much easier to install a set of radio remote controls after the sale. rather than taking the machine apart. Now we're just plugging in the transmitter and the receiver, programming it, and up and running very quickly. The standard remote with Outrigger and Boom tele functions for easy setup. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I want to reiterate the fact that this truly is a one-man machine and enables the operator to do all of the setup alone without having to climb up and down off of the machine to set up the Outriggers. We're also now featuring a LMI utilization light option that Scott mentioned earlier. Notifies all personnel in the area of the condition of the crane at any given point. We feature camera options to monitor hoist operation and the outriggers. And as we have developed machines over the years, the crane cab has become a key part of our product offering, and we do truly have the best in class cab, featuring either dual axis controls or 4 single axis controls that can be ordered. The display and keypad for the operator interface include engine monitoring, the remote for the 2 remote cameras that we spoke about, a wind speed indicator, a newly designed heat and AC system that we've mounted opposite of the cab, and it's taken the ambient noise level down in the cab to a very comfortable level. We've increased the heating, which is obviously very important for our Canadian customers, to 15,000 BTU. And I will add that the heating system is an oil heat system, so it is flameless. And this becomes important when you're trying to get in and do work in a refinery, petrochemical, or mining operation where open flame is prohibited. The cooling system is, we've tested it here this summer in Texas, and it works very, very well. We're very pleased with that. We also increased the amount of glass in the cab for better operator visibility. With that, we also anticipated that there could be issues with that much glass and heat in the summertime. So the airflow in the cab has been increased 200%, and we have added more heat and AC ducts. The operator seat is heated, which is, we've gotten a lot of good feedback on that. The cab tilts up 20 degrees, and the operator can vary that from anywhere from 0 to 20 degrees infinitely, depending on his needs. The operator has control ability to program crane functions for given speeds for boom up versus boom down, swing left and right. So he can tailor the machine for his own preferences or for a particular job. And then the cab is equipped with USB ports for quick software updates and phone charging. And it allows us from the factory, if there's an issue with the machine, working in concert with the operator, we can dial into the crane and help him with diagnostics. We can also provide this to technicians at the dealer level, and with some of our major customers and a couple that are in Canada, they also have access. The little bit more about the heat and AC system. Is remote mounted. It provides reduced ambient noise in the cab. The flameless oil heat, I want to reiterate, can be used where open flame is prohibited. With the removable high torque swing drive provides a very precise control. We have increased the torque output capabilities of the swing drive for working at low angle, long boom, long radii reach, or needs, and being able to swing loads in the wind, and that makes it more controllable for the operator. There's a convenient keypad for the counterweight system that allows one-man operation to manage counterweight stacks. We introduced a new slide-out platform and front walkway option that's available for the TC650 models, and we're going to be adding this same platform system backwards in the product lineup. So we'll have more news on that. It'll be introduced on the TC 500 and the 40-ton machines in 2022. As I mentioned earlier, we do have the ability to contact the crane and work in concert with the operator to resolve any issues or any questions and help the service technicians troubleshoot when there is an issue. And we're using the Parker mobile IoT system. All right, that sums up the TC 65-159, and we've got some more announcements here. So we're announcing this recently here, the addition of the removable counterweight systems on our 50-ton platform. And the first machine that we adapted it to was TC 5128X, which features the 10,000-pound counterweight system. And this configuration here, this crane, as you might recognize, somebody might be familiar with the Rideau Canal in Ottawa. So Happy Crane Service taking delivery of a new machine, and they're out performing well and doing jobs with their customer base. This new counterweight system allows increased capacities over fixed counterweight models of the 50-ton machine. And of course, with the ability to move the counterweights forward and stow them, or not necessarily take all the counterweight on a given job when it's not necessary, this removable counterweight system allows for roading with all counterweights and accommodates seasonal weight restrictions. On the heels of that, now we're introducing just here recently the TC 5155X. So now we have the long boom option of our very successful 50-ton platform featuring the removable counterweight system. And it's ideal for steel erectors and utility contractors. It's quick one-man setup with all the TC features. And again, capable of roading with all counterweight and accommodate seasonal weight restrictions. Something else that not necessarily a brand new model cranes, but something that has regained notoriety in the crane community here in the northeastern part of the United States. And I thought it was noteworthy mention here because I believe it's a good fit for Eastern Canada and probably, maybe across Canada. And it's taking our famous 4124 platform and building it with a shorter subframe to help reduce the overall length of the machine by 2 feet. And in this case, the truck wheelbase is shortened up by about the same amount. We're running a 253-inch wheelbase as opposed to a 298-inch wheelbase in some cases. Pardon the background noise. We're still cutting grass down here in Texas. I don't know about the Canadians. You probably got ice on the ground already. Anyway, the other machine I want to speak to is the TC 450, which is available in 127 and 142 foot boom lengths. And this machine too is offered with a shorter subframe for tight turning radius and shorter overall length. Now, out of all this, with all the cranes that Manatex offers, it takes very good customer support, aftermarket sales. And I want to recognize Manatex's elite dealer across Canada, and that's CRAC Equipment, headquartered in Toronto, Canada, but with offices across the country. CRAC is recognized as Manatex's elite dealer across Canada, representing Manatex for 33 years with factory chain personnel and parts to keep your Manatex fleet up to date and supported with Manatex's promise of 24/7, 365 support. I want to add here that early in my career, I started out with Bill Finkel Sr., who is, I believe, also a founding member of CRAC. Unfortunately, we lost Bill Sr. in some years back in Germany on a trip to Balma. His son Bill Jr. was with him at the time, and that's still in my memory. But I have worked very closely with Bill Finkel Jr. And now I look forward to the opportunity to work with Bill Finkel Jr.'s son, Liam Finkel, who is joining the company. And so I will be privileged to have worked with 3 generations of the Finkel family and the CRAC business. And I look forward to that. So PM articulating cranes are popular in Canada, and PM offers a full range of machines all the way up to 210 ton meter. And BIK Hydraulics represents PM articulating cranes in Eastern Canada. BIK Hydraulics, headquartered in Toronto, is the recognized PM and trolley boom distributor in Canada, providing complete turnkey installations tailored to suit customer needs, along with complete aftermarket parts and service support. So now this concludes our presentation today, and I would like to invite Scott and Jeff back on with me here. And Claire.
And I'm coming back too.
We couldn't do it without Claire.
Oh, well, you know, you
know,
all
I-
survived. It's been a journey, because I would say that all manufacturers that we've been working with are not used to this. I mean, this is not how you do business. You're one-to-one people and connecting
Yeah,
with
it's-
people one-on-one.
It's not how we do business, and I do look forward to getting back face to face with everyone, and very excited. I've already shared with the wife that you know, we're going to Niagara on the Lake next year, and she's already looking at the sites and where we're going to go and what we're going to do, and want to encourage Jeff and Scott to, you know, you might see all 3 of us up there. We'll see.
That would be great. The format of the conference is changing also, Randy. We're moving from, you know, the over the weekend stay to the weekdays.
Yeah.
So flying in on Monday and golf activities on Tuesdays, conference Wednesday, Thursday, and then people can leave on Friday, just to kind of keep it compact. And, you know, we've all learned lessons through COVID. I certainly have. And in order to connect and stay connected with everyone, we've been in this platform so many times in the last 20 months. And I'm sure you have all gained new insight into how to run effective business through COVID. I mean, Jeff, you were talking about the protocols that you had to put in place. So I'm curious, when you look 2-3 years down the road, is there a best lesson learned from the last 20 months that will remain intact within the business operation?
Well, I think, you know, first of all, hopefully 2 or 3 years down the road, we're
Yeah.
back to some state of normal, right? But,
Yes.
you know, and there's going to be probably plenty of history books that are going to be written over this, you know, 2-year, 3-year phase. Hopefully it doesn't go much longer, but, you know, I think it's really from a manufacturing standpoint, and it's really helped us kind of be a little bit more efficient. You know, before video conferencing was not as embraced as it is now, and it's just made it so that we can, you know, I want to use the word multitask, but at the end of the day, I can reach out and address my whole team without having to disrupt their day and put them in a conference room, which, you know, that time is money, right? So I think that's definitely one of the benefits that we'll look back in the future and say, you know, if anything, we embrace video conferencing a little bit more. You know, heightened awareness to safety. I mean, you know, we've you know, everyone at the facility, you know, they're used to social distancing now. And, you know, there's, you know, just a lot of different mentality shifts that people are adapting to that, you know, we probably wouldn't have had if it hadn't have been for COVID. So.
That's good. You talked about, I can't remember, I think it was Scott maybe, about the electric cranes coming. You know, looking down the road 5 years from now, are electric cranes going to be something quite common in North America, you think?
I think they will certainly improve. We currently have a industrial crane of line of electric cranes called Vala that's manufactured in Piacenza, Italy. And as is happening with our competitors and other people in the industry, we'll be moving that direction,
Mhm. Yeah, it's a
at least
changing
as an
world.
option.
Yeah, it is a changing world, isn't it?
We actually have, we do have a project that we're kind of dipping our toes into right now. It's related to oil and gas and involves an electric crane. And it's an interesting project to take one of our conventional platforms and adapt it to be able to run on-site electric power. So yeah, it's happening. It won't be long. I've had the first customer ask me if we can put one of our truck mounted aerial platforms on a Tesla truck. And so, you know, I'm still looking for this unicorn Tesla truck, but that's, you know, and they're in California, and that's becoming a real big issue in the western part of the country. So yeah, it's going to happen, Claire.
Mhm. We talked about the supply chain. I think everyone I speak to, regardless if it's manufacturers or anyone working in the business, there's supply challenges at every level of a job. This has been a huge challenge for you as well. Do you see that improving in the next quarter, or are we looking a year or two down the road?
Well, I hope that, I definitely hope that it improves in the next quarter, but a lot of the feedback that we're getting, you know, the demand is just so high, right? So, you know, chassis supply, which we talked, that's kind of one of the biggest challenges that we're trying to get past now. Dealing with truck suppliers at this point, they're doing the best that they can do. But, you know, to actually put them on the spot and have them put a line in the sand, I don't think you're going to get that input from them right now, just because of the uncertainty. You know, we spend a lot of time on calls with vendors, and, you know, we pull in vendor supplied components from all over the world, right? So not only are we dealing with with their shortages, but we're also dealing with the freighting of getting it in and out of the ports.
Yeah. So,
I hope that this time next year we can see a little bit of relief, but I'm not going to take that to the bank. So.
And Scott, you talked about, you know, the heatings, and both Randy and yourself talked about the cabs, and there's been so much improvement in the crane industry, and I can see the deluxe cabs that you have built at Manitex, and keeping the operators warm and cool in summer months as well. I'm curious as to, you know, I'm sure you get comments from operators all the time. What would have been the strangest, or the, you know, a request from operators that you go, I don't think we can do this, or has completely changed the way that you build your cabs? Any thoughts on this? Any of you?
We don't say, I don't think we can do this. We say, we don't have it available right now. However, we use our customers to improve all of our products on a continuous basis.
It's terrific. Terrific.
Yep.
No,
A lot of what you see in that new cab, actually, some of it at least comes from our Canadian customers in Alberta, that we had back in the day, we had a very boxy, basic looking cab, not a lot of room in it. And you take a big gentleman and with his Carhartts on, and he climbs up in that cab, he starts to get warmed up. Well, he's trying to get out of the Carhartts, and he can't do it. So with the new cab, it's like 18 inches longer as far as leg room goes, and 2 inches wider in the interior. And you know, we follow Facebook a lot and see a lot of posts, and I see a lot of Manatex customers sitting back in their cab with their legs crossed, their feet out in front of them, and a cup of coffee in the cup holder, and they're just operating away. And but they can literally stretch their legs out in that cab.
It gives a quality of life, you know, in the work environment. Absolutely.
Sure does.
Absolutely. Any other comments that you'd like to leave with us before we wrap up this great presentation? I can tell you that the last few months, because of COVID and the virtual world, my learning curve about cranes has gone up, straight up. It's great to learn not only about the products, but the people who make it happen. Learning about the manufacturers, your locations, and the overall economic impact that the crane industry really has in this country. You know, we look at one of the big challenges that I have at CRAC is to be able to take a snapshot of Canada and show how important this industry is across the country. And this is something we're working on right now, to do a full Canada-wide industry analysis, because we need it when we speak with government, we need it when we speak with, you know, colleagues, to be able to demonstrate the economic engine that is led by the crane industry. So, Randy, any closing thoughts on this?
Well, I'd like to leave you with, I guess, a little bit of a teaser. We're not done at 65 tons. You'll have some more news coming from Manatex in the coming months. The boom truck industry continues to evolve into bigger and larger machines, and we're not stopping where we are.
That's great. Scott, any closing thoughts? Thanks for joining us. It's great to see you again.
Again, I just want to thank the board of directors and all of the CRAC members for giving us this opportunity to present Manatex and the great team that we have to you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank you.
much. And Jeff, pleasure meeting you. And
Pleasure meeting you as well, Claire. And again, thank you for the opportunity. I can't stress enough how much it's a privilege for us to be present and to participate in these events with the Canadian Crane Rental Association of Canada. It's been a privilege for us, and thank you very much for your time. And to everyone, thank you for your time and attention, because I know everyone is hopefully very busy right now, and we'll see you soon.
See you
Thank you.
soon.
thank you very much. And we'll do this again whenever you have new products. Give me a call. We can have even if it's just a 10-minute introduction to our membership, we can load that onto our virtual platform. And it's one of the things that we will continue to do even post-COVID, is being able to bring the product of our manufacturers in front of our members as quickly as we can. So thanks a lot,
Very good.
gentlemen. And I look forward to working with you again.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Claire.
Thank you.